So there's lots of reputable advice out there too. And the assessments from public health officials are both very clear, but they also change sometimes every day based on circumstances and to an extent perhaps based on where those officials are based. So let's bring in two emergency room doctors to see how they're interpreting the recommendations. Dr. Michael Curry, based in Vancouver, works at an emergency room just outside the city. And once again, Dr. Tasleem Nimji is in Toronto. And Dr. Curry, let me start with you. Let's talk about restaurants. Is your perspective that it's safe still to dine out?
I think it's a matter of what your risk tolerance is. Everything in life entails some degree of risk. And when you do go to a restaurant, there is a risk of transmission despite best practices. But I think we have to balance out convenience, the need for people to go out and entertain themselves, and also the need to support our local businesses with the public health costs. It's not a risk-free decision, but by minimizing space, practicing good hygiene, you can make it a low-risk activity.
Yeah, and as recently as Friday, Dr. Bonnie Henry, the Chief Medical Health Officer out here, did mention restaurants as a potential thing that people can do. Dr. Nimji, from Toronto, does the advice, is it different?
Yeah, I have to say there's I would say there's almost a palpable difference over the last 3-4 days here in terms of people hunkering down a little bit more, being a little less social, going out a little bit less. And we're certainly, I think, seeing that also from the aging population and those that might see themselves at increased risk really sort of staying back from those social engagements.
Well, let's follow up, Dr. Nimji, on that. In terms of older people, there's a lot of concern among them, or people who have, are compromised in terms of their immune systems, and having interaction with maybe grandchildren or, other people in their family. How should they balance that?
Yeah, so you're right. Certainly there's always a risk of social isolation, and certainly there's some seniors that are living on their own. And it's really important that we sort of pull together as a community at this time and support those people. So we are seeing, for example, out of Quebec, where the recommendation is really for people over 70 to not be going out, and people with any comorbidities or immune compromised states, as you mentioned. And so as much as that can be limited, it should be. And I think if we can support dropping off groceries, checking in, picking up medications, things like that, we should be doing to try to keep our frail and elderly out of harm's way as much as possible.
Dr. Curry, and I'll ask each of you this question because it also may be different from city to city. What about, restaurants might be a kind of an optional thing for people. Grocery stores, more basic. What should people keep in mind, Dr. Curry, as they go to the grocery?
I think just basic good hygiene. So perhaps taking advantage of the wipes to wipe down the cart, washing your hands before and after your shopping, and of course maintaining your social distance, trying to stay approximately a meter away from people that you're encountering. Grocery shopping's not going to stop anytime soon, but let's try and make it as safe as possible for everyone.
Dr. Nimji?
Yeah, that's excellent. And we keep saying washing your hands, and we're not going to stop saying that. But certainly to add to that as well is trying to do it off peak hours, and just pack your patience. Everyone's sort of anxiety levels are high, and the more we can sort of act like in a brotherly way, the better this will go for all of us, right?
So let me pick up on that, Dr. Nimji. Anxiety, I keep seeing that word, reference to how anxious people are feeling. Some people tweeting about how they're, freaking out. They describe that about themselves. How do you, the medical part aside, how do you deal with the mental health issues that people are going through?
I'm so glad you brought that up because it is a big issue, right? And certainly some people have a different capacity to tolerate isolation than others, and everybody has a different social circumstance or situation. And I think anxiety levels are high because this is new territory for many people, especially for the younger people who didn't experience SARS in Toronto. For those coming from an Ontario perspective, this is very new, and so anxiety levels are just high from the uncertainty that this comes with. But again, we're very fortunate. We have previous experience in this country. We have really great officials in terms of public health officials that are leading the way for us, and we need to really sort of depend on their guidance and follow their guidance.
Dr. Curry, let me pick up on a point that Dr. Nimji made there. Where are you guys getting information from? Where should we be relying on whom should we be relying for the best information?
Well, I think our first step is to turn to our public health authorities. They've been doing a very good job on keeping the public informed. However, we have to keep in mind that this is a very dynamic situation that's changing. And as information changes, as we gain new information and more experience about this new virus, those recommendations might change as well. So people have to keep in mind that the public health authorities are giving very good evidence-based information, but the evidence changes and the recommendations might change as well as time progresses and as the situation changes.
Dr. Nimji, we just have a few seconds left. Last word to you.
Oh, thank you. I just say to everybody, again, follow that guidance that's out there. Use common sense guidance as well in terms of good hand hygiene. And make sure if you're sick, have any symptoms, stay at home to keep everybody else safe as well.
I always like talking to emergency room doctors. You've seen it all. You're always so calm and explain things so well. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian.